Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel for another Real Talk episode. It brings me no pleasure today to continue the discussion of the Charlie Kirk assassination. Obviously a horrific and tragic event. And the last video I put out on this attracted a whole hell of a lot more of attention than I ever expected. So thank you to every single one of you guys who liked and commented and shared that video. At the time when I put it out, I was 100% convinced of certain things that we may have new evidence contradicting directly. Actually, we do have new evidence directly contradicting one of the main claims in that video. I don't think it absolutely negates all the other claims, but we're going to go through that and discuss it today and show you guys exactly what the counterpoints were to my argument. And I really don't even want to call it my argument. It is just a theory. I'm not married to any one theory, guys. I'm out here trying to discover the truth just like all of you are. And if I am wrong in that theory, in that video that I put out, I will be more than willing to admit that I'm wrong and show the evidence and the proof that I was incorrect and set the record straight. So today we're going to talk about it. Again, I don't think this evidence disproves that theory of Charlie getting shot from his back right completely, but it does disprove one part of it, I believe, which is the blood splatter that I believed I was seeing. Turns out it's most likely Charlie's necklace. And let's just go ahead and show you guys the footage here. So Jesse on Fire he showed my video, the one that you guys have all seen by now, and he is showing this new camera angle. Again, I saw this camera angle, but it was much more blurry when I saw it, and I wasn't 100% sold on it at the time. People were saying it was an earpiece, but I had seen multiple other videos. Let me show you guys that first, because I don't know what this guy's name is, but I'll put it in the description below, but he has a very good analysis. And I watched this after I posted my video, to be very clear. I had never seen this angle before, or this hypothesis of the earpiece, but after I posted the video, I watched this video where he goes through and talks about how he does not see any earpiece on Charlie Kirk. And I concur, I agree with him in his analysis, because you could see it on his security guards, you could see it on his security team, but you cannot see it on Charlie himself. As you can see right here, he points out that his security team is wearing an earpiece, and you'd be able to clearly see it from this angle. Maybe not from the front, or even from the side as much, but from the back here, you'd be able to clearly see the earpiece. And he does show, you can see again here, he's showing a very clear angle. There is no earpiece. So without dragging this issue out any further and alluding to an earpiece, and there being an earpiece or not being, there was not an earpiece. It's been confirmed by Candace Owens, and she confirmed he was also not wearing body armor. So those are two facts, if you want to call them that. She was told directly by TPUSA or by Eric, I can't remember, by trusted sources that he was not wearing an earpiece and he was not wearing body armor. So if you believe that, I clearly don't see an earpiece, so that's very simple and easy for me to believe that. So most likely what we see blow off, and what I was thinking and what I was calling blood splatter from the back right side of Charlie's head, is most likely his necklace. And it looks and seems to me that it has broken apart.
Frame the first
right here. Let's let this skip ahead a little bit, and you'll see. There it is. You can see it's broken apart. So I paused it perfectly here where you can see his chain clearly snaps off down here in the front. So it lifts his shirt up in the front and lifts his shirt up in the back. It snaps and it comes up and it looks like an earpiece because of that angle on it. Also, this would correspond with the video footage that I showed as the blood splatter, because you can see how it's bent that way, and it could be bent down and then it would be bent up here in just a second. Obviously it's going too fast for this video, this camera angle to catch it. And then it continues on back, and you can see it back here again, this line right here across this gentleman's shirt. You can very clearly see a wire, which people were assuming was the earpiece, but it's very clearly his necklace. So was it the shock wave of Charlie's neck being hit either from the front, or his neck and head being hit from the back, that simply lifted up the shirt in the back? Or was it the chain? I would say it's probably the chain, based off of what we saw in the front, which is very clearly his chain breaking and lifting up his shirt. So I think it's more likely that puff in the back that Jesse is attributing to the like inertia from the bullet hitting him in the neck, like pushing his back, like the back of his shirt out. It just doesn't make any sense, because the bullet, according to the official narrative, does not have an exit wound. It was found directly under his skin, which is another thing we need to discuss. The man of steel theory, which is like gaslighting at its finest. But I just don't see that puff as being attributed to confirming that the shot was from the front. I just don't see.
Bonjour. Si vous avez plus de 5 000 euros sur un compte bancaire, vous êtes sans doute très inquiet de ce qui se passe.
I just don't see that puff as being attributed to confirming that the shot was from the front. I just don't see the logic in that, right? We're not really trying to stretch the imagination. That's what the official narrative is doing. I'm trying to explain it in the simplest terms. Occam's razor, what is most likely to have caused this injury in the way that we saw it? And that in the front seemed to me to be pretty definitively an exit wound. But we're going to talk about all of the evidence for and against the original theory, right? Because the original theory was that we saw that gush of blood out the back right side of Charlie's head. Now we can see that that's not blood. In fact, that's his necklace. So we're kind of back to square one. We don't have any like 100% smoking gun proof at this point because that's confirmed to not be a blood splatter there. But we're going to talk about, again, both reasons for and against the theory that he was shot in the back, and for and against, again, that he was shot in the front of the neck. And I'm going to do my best to address these guys. Again, I had so much coming in. A lifetime is not enough time to address every single one of these. So we also talked about body armor. Candace Owens has dispelled the body armor claim. The Bush shooter. Okay, so in this portion of the video, I take a random photo from the internet here, and I put this guy here to show what it would look like if this image had been cleared up, and if in fact there was a person sitting there with a rifle aiming down at Charlie. This is not a depixelated version of what is here. This is not like in the movies when you see like enhance, and you just like this emerges from this blur. That's just not how photos work. This is something that I got off the internet for reference for you guys. This has nothing to do. This man was never at the crime scene. Neither was this rifle, and a lot of other evidence points to it happening from over here, much lower. In fact, if the FBI came out with a convincing story that was actually like somewhat believable, I don't think I would have ever even gone down this path. I'm not a political channel. I talk about guns here on the channel, so it is just impossible to wrap your head around a 30-06 entering right here at the front of the throat, whether it was from an angle of elevation or not. It is so impossible, and I'm going to show you guys this video because this perfectly coincidentally lined up with my timeline today. So I'm going to show you guys this video right here, which is exactly what happens when a 30-06 enters a ballistic gelatin head.
So today on Dual Liberty Firearms, we're going to be showing you what a 30-06 does to a ballistics gel skull.
And before people call bullshit on this video was produced 5 years ago. So this guy had no idea how relevant his video would be today. In fact, a lot of the comments are like talking about how this dude disproved the FBI's claims before they were even made public. So anyways, big shout out to these guys. What is this? What's the name of this channel here? Dual Liberty Firearms. There you go. Absolutely smoked. Very similar looking bolt action rifle to the one the FBI claimed was used. You can see very clearly what happens when a 30-06 enters soft tissue. So if they want you to believe that Charlie Kirk was the man of steel and this was a miracle, that God stopped that bullet and it was just under his skin, show us the bullet. Show us the autopsy, guys. Show everybody the proof that makes us say, you know what? Case closed. That crazy 22-year-old did it. I want to see that. I don't want to believe in this grand conspiracy that our government has the capability to do this, or to turn the other way when somebody else's government does it. Not implying anything. I don't know anything at all. Again, the more I learn about this case, the weirder things get. This is what happens to a human head that has, and ballistics gelatin is not one for one, obviously. This is as close as we can get, but you can see what happens.
The head that had literally blown the head to pieces. There was not much blown the head to pieces.
Let's see if we can just pause that.
Head.
Right there, guys. If he got hit in the side of the neck, what was stopping his neck from blowing out? That even just one side. Let alone an exit wound. Let alone an exit wound. People who are talking crap in my comment section, my other videos, saying that I'm a product of the left, like I'm trying to get this guy off. I got no dog in this fight. The truth is the only thing I'm after. And again, I'm more than willing to admit when I'm wrong if new evidence comes out that is convincing enough. But the more time that goes by, the more it seems like this evidence is very convenient. Like the screwdriver, for instance. They claim that Tyler Robinson assembled and disassembled his gun, and then to get it up there, then assembled it to take the shot, and then disassembled it to leave, and then reassembled it in the forest, but he left the screwdriver on the roof. So how did he reassemble it in the forest? Again, the story is beyond belief. Let's just put it that way. That's why we are out here. That's why that video resonated with so many people. You could point to one thing and say, oh, he was wrong about that. I'm just simply pointing out the thing that looks like a duck, it walks like a duck, It might be a duck. That's all I'm saying. So let's get back to my video where we're gonna debunk or offer the other side of the story. So we've already addressed the bushman, the bush shooter, okay? At the moment I had seen it, that looked a little convincing. Now I do have my photos pulled up here, and this is a picture. I wanna give credit where credit's due. John Cullen said, resolution matters, problem solved. Yeah, but is this the exact same photo from the exact same front? Again, I'm not even saying that the bushman was the guy who shot him. It doesn't appear that it would line up perfectly, or at least ideally for that situation. It would line up, but not perfect. But again, like, what do you think the shooter's just going to be hanging out there? That's not my hill to die on. I don't care if it was the bushman or not. I care more about what happened than truth. So if this disproves the Bush theory, fine, so be it. Do I still think it was probably from his back right? Yes. So let's go back to the video. In this footage,
Shot in the back.
we can see, again, what I originally thought was blood splatter. This is most likely his necklace snapping. It flies up in the front. This is most likely his necklace right here as well. It flies up, probably snaps around this area somewhere. This side comes up and over and back as Charlie falls to his left. That's another thing. Everyone's like, he got shot in the front because he fell straight back. He didn't fall straight back, guys. I want to show you this footage real quick. This is my buddy's video once again, and he shows this footage right here. I'll blur whatever's necessary, but you will see the trajectory, the direction that Charlie's body goes in. It does make sense. Getting hit in the back of the skull right here. Charlie is struck, and then he falls in the direction that he was shot. Yeah, now he does lean back, right? I mean, but a bullet whizzing through your head and neck that quickly, especially something which it was probably, and we're getting ahead of ourselves here, it was probably a suppressed 5.56 round, if I had to guess. It was probably a 55 grain full metal jacket, judging by the small size of the exit wound on the front of his neck, assuming it's an exit wound, assuming, right? Allegedly an exit wound. That 55 grain bullet's not displacing much tissue, and it's not a heavy projectile in and of itself. So here you have a guy who understands the audio from all of these different camera angles, all of these different individuals who were filming the event, and using science to time exactly when that device registered the sound, and then circulating that back to one location and triangulating it pretty much based off of that audio. And all of it points back to this area where the bushman was. Now, is that definitive? No, but again, it's just another piece of information pointing in that direction of the gunshot coming from. And he simply says, even at the maximum error margin, a shot from the rooftop simply does not match the audio. So there you have it, just another piece of information pointing in the direction of the back right of Charlie. Now let's go back to the original topic, the main video that I put out, the main theory that I was discussing. I want to give Valhalla VFT a huge shout out on this because I think his analysis was perfect. He talked about the new information from Jesse on Fire, that new angle, and he also brought up my video and talked about how this does not completely debunk this angle, right? He also brought up the audio engineers triangulating and figuring out that the shot most likely came from that back right, near the bushman, near that area somewhere over there. And also he pointed out that the entrance wound typically does not bleed, especially not right away. So what I originally thought was blood splatter is in fact Charlie's necklace does not 100% negate the theory that he was shot from his back right. In fact, it kind of verifies it even more, because if it's not blood, there's a more of a higher likelihood that it's actually an entrance wound, because again, entrance wounds don't bleed the way that we saw the front of Charlie's neck bleeding, okay? So if Charlie is hit right here in his hairline where we're kind of alleging he's hit, you wouldn't be able to see it from this grainy. Even this new footage from Jesse on Fire, it's way too grainy to tell if there's a small 223 entrance hole, because again, the hole would only be the size, the diameter of the bullet, even smaller sometimes, because again, the skin and the tissue is going to kind of seal back up over itself. Not completely, but enough to be slightly smaller than the diameter of the bullet that entered, okay? So again, I want to give a big shout out to Valhalla VFT for talking about this in a very objective way. So the next thing I want to discuss is Charlie's hair jolting forward. I said that because he was hit in the back of the head, his head kind of moved forward very quickly. His hair was lying at rest, and then it had been, it kind of had needed to catch up. And so you can see that clearly. And when his head jolts forward like that, you can see his head jolting forward from being struck from the back. Could this be explained by a throat shot? I don't see it quite that easy. If he had been hit in the chest, I could see his chest going backwards and therefore his head going forward. But you can see very clearly Charlie's head snaps down and to his left. Could that be explained by the shot in the throat? Yeah, it could. So there you go. There's me playing devil's advocate for you guys. I still think it points more to him getting shot in the back right side of his head, but it is possible. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is the exit wound and the skin being pulled right here that I see. So a lot of people were trying to explain this as like the shirt was folded weird or the shirt was creased or something like that. But as you can see in the footage here, there is a black spot right there that then corresponds with a black spot on Charlie's shirt directly after the bullet exits, allegedly. So right there you can see it. You can see the exit wound and then either a blood stain or a hole in the shirt from the bullet pulling through. This is one of the biggest arguments against my video as well, in stating that you would not be able to see the projectile because the frame rate of an iPhone is 30 frames per second. Now, anybody who uses an iPhone knows that new iPhones have incredibly good cameras. Now, they're not high-speed cameras that can catch bullets flying, typically. But when a bullet strikes tissue and slows down to the point where it has to travel from here to here, it's going to slow down significantly. And I believe that what we saw, his skin stretching, may not even have been the bullet. It may have been the bullet already passed through and exited through his shirt or just above his shirt and continued traveling on. It may have very well been his skin just hadn't had time to retract yet. Because as we all know, when you watch high-speed footage of shooting through something soft or elastic, you see it stretch, and then after the projectile passes through, then it starts to retract. But it lags behind the projectile slightly, so we could have caught just his skin after the bullet already passed through. I'm not saying we caught the bullet right as it was about to poke out of his skin. I'm just saying it's a possibility, guys, okay? And to me, all of this is looking like the most possible scenario, as many of you guys agree, right? Because the video wouldn't have done as well as it did if most of the people didn't actually agree with what was being said. It makes the most sense. I'm just asking you to believe what your eyes are showing you, right? I'm just putting it all together in a cohesive way, and you guys all agree that that is probably the most likely scenario, right? And I do as well. But I'm not married to this idea. Again, if I see new information, I will correct the narrative. So another thing I want to address is the angle of the shot. So I show this arrow here as far as the bullet trajectory. This was just the simplest, most direct line from entry to the exit. But most likely this angle, this angle of bullet is sitting up here in the tent somewhere. You would not be able to actually shoot Charlie or actually see him to shoot him. And I don't believe he was shot blindly through the tent. So most likely the trajectory is much flatter, like this, coming in from the side, and it hit his skull. And as everybody's been saying, to explain the magic bullet of 2025, that it stopped at his spine, the Man of Steel, bullets do weird things when they enter flesh. So let me stop for a moment and pause and say, is it possible it stopped at his vertebrae? 1 in a million. I'm not going to say that because I would just be saying that to cover my own ass and say, oh, well, anything's possible. Yeah, anything is possible with the power of God. But in this case, ballistics don't lie. I believe the bullet probably came in from below the tarp of the tent, from this angle, struck Charlie, and then did some weird things. Probably struck him right around here, around the base of his hairline. So it's much more likely the bullet came in from this trajectory here, hit the base of his hairline, hit the base of his stem and spinal column, causing him to tense up, causing his head to go down and to the left, and then kind of moved its way down here and exited out the front here. So that is much more likely. I put this here to kind of show like for people who don't understand what bullets do when they hit things, the simplest way to understand that is just, okay, straight through. But it's most likely his tent was above there, so no one would have had the vantage point to actually hit him from that angle. It was most likely a much more flat, I wouldn't say much flatter, but a flatter trajectory, because you'd have to see what you're shooting at. I don't think someone took a blind shot through a tarp. So with that being said, or the cover of the tent, I believe it was more along the lines of this angle here, somewhere in this ballpark here, and it came in, struck Charlie, and then exited out here in the front. So right here, guys, this is the footage I wanted to show you. So you can see here in this video, now could this be anything? Could this be something flying off Charlie? Could this be a piece of flesh, a piece of bone? Yeah, it could be for sure, but it is just curious that it happens right at the moment after Charlie is hit, and you can see that piece coming out of his neck. So you can clearly see something traveling between Charlie's legs that many people are speculating is a projectile. So again, you can see that streak by right there, multiple frames of this video. And I do believe that is most likely the projectile, because it correlates with everything else that we've seen. So it's hard to tell if it's actually closer to the camera than we're seeing, but it does beg the question, why were there pavers installed in the location where Charlie was sitting,
Fucking good
like
question,
immediately,
my
like the
boy.
next day after the shooting happened. It's just, again, another piece of information for you guys to take and chew on and just ask the question, why, if there is any potential there's a second shooter, if there's any potential there may be still a projectile in the dirt around where Charlie was sitting, why in the world are we putting pavers down? The beautification of the campus can wait until the investigation's over. People who say that you cannot catch bullets on an iPhone or at a frame rate of 30 or 60 frames per second, that is just not true, okay? I understand the science behind it, but in reality, especially something like this, something moving this slow after it's exited a target, a medium of sorts, a fluid target, we've had plenty of videos you can find online of showing projectiles punching through, you know, whether it be jugs of water or ballistics gel, and you can see them travel on after they pass through the medium. And in this case, I'll show you guys a video. You can see the bullets flying, right? It depends on the angle of the sun. If the bullets just catch it just right, it is certainly possible to see. Now, obviously what people are saying is that the bullet would be a streak, not a dot, okay? Again, not trying to prove or disprove anything, just another piece of information for you guys. This is a subsonic 300 blackout for your information, traveling approximately 1,000 to 1,050 feet per second, okay? 220 grain pill. So you can see it clear as day on a regular camera that I'm filming on right now. It's filming at 60 frames per second. It's not a high-speed camera whatsoever, but I'll show you. Let's see if I can see the POV footage of it. So again, is it possible? Absolutely, it is possible that that bullet was caught on camera. It's also very possible it was not caught on camera. So one last thing I want to cover, guys, is FBI Director Kash Patel put out this tweet, and this was on September 21st, so 3 days ago as of filming this video. He says, as director of the FBI, I am committed to ensuring the investigation into Charlie Kirk's assassination is thorough and exhaustive, pursuing every lead to its conclusion. So right here he goes into, we are meticulously investigating theories and questions, including the location of where the shot was taken. Okay? So everyone who's asking me, why am I questioning it? Here you have the actual FBI director questioning this as well, okay? The possibility of accomplices, text message confession and related conversations, Discord chats, angle of the shot, and bullet impact. Again, these are all things that we're talking about, and he's coming out and saying the FBI is investigating it as well, which is promising, but when you have things like the medical examiner coming out and saying that he was the man of steel, I kind of lose faith right away, because if that's the official narrative, then my God, we have some problems in this country. So I wanted to take this moment and take this opportunity to thank every single one of you for being here, seeking the truth, seeking justice for Charlie Kirk and for this country, really. I think a lot of us took it personally when they killed him, because that could have been any of us, in fact. And assassinating Charlie Kirk was a direct attack on the First Amendment, in my opinion, and that needs to be protected at all costs. But I also want to take a moment to say whoever did it wanted to sow division and distrust and paranoia in our country, make people think twice about speaking out, speaking their mind, and having conversations. And so I think now more than ever, it is super important to protect free speech. It is super important to protect all of our civil rights instead of giving up our rights for the illusion of safety and chasing the enemy that we've made in our own mind or our algorithms had made against us. And just remember that Charlie Kirk believed in Jesus Christ, and I do as well. And Jesus Christ preaches the message of loving thy neighbor. So I think it's super important to try to get closer to Christ, try to forgive people, try to have some nuance, and try to be the best person that you can be for yourself, for your family, for your country. With that being said, guys, I love every single one of you. Thank you so much for staying to the end of the video. If you guys do want to support the channel, please head to RangeBro.com. Check out our discounts page, our loadouts page. We have a ton of links over there, which we can't talk about here on YouTube. I love you guys. Christ is king. Drink a lot of water. Stay safe. Stay dangerous. RangeBro out.
Pourquoi nos probiotiques sont plus chers que les autres? Ce qui rend